All right, I mentioned Pete Prisco from CBSSports.com. Pete, you're shaking it up here a little bit. Thank you, helping me do my job. Recap your story here with what the Cardinals you think are going to do at the top of the draft.
Yeah, I do not think they're going to take Kyler Murray. And again, obviously subject to change, but from what I've been told, it'll either be Quinnen Williams or Nick Bosa, and I think they're leaning more toward Nick Bosa. And obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Kyler Murray, and I think a lot of that had to be ownership-driven. I think the ownership group strongly considered him, but I think the football people would rather draft a defensive player and stay away from taking a quarterback, particularly after trading up last year. People forget that. They traded up to get Josh Rosen and unfairly didn't give him a chance to succeed last year. So I think add that all up, and I think they're going to pass on Kyler Murray.
I guess the only question I had about that is you bring in Cliff Kingsbury, and yes, he's a quarterback whisperer, but if you're bringing in Cliff Kingsbury, it feels like you're doing something maybe drastic or you're going to change things up philosophy-wise. That's where I thought Kyler Murray makes more sense with Cliff Kingsbury than Josh Rosen does.
Yeah, and again, probably so in that offense. But if Kingsbury's as good as they think he is and as good as everybody thinks he is, then he can make Josh Rosen work in his offense as well. And again, you got to work to what you have, not fit what you want to your offense. And the other thing there, Dan, is Kingsbury's not making the decision. Remember, he didn't even get to hire his defensive staff. The Cardinals hired his defensive staff for him. So that tells you, what his status is inside the building. And granted, it can grow, and I think he's a smart guy and a bright guy, but I also think he can make it work with Josh Rosen.
Do you believe that they have trade offers for that number one pick?
I think they'd be open to it, and I think they're listening. Yes, I do. I think there will be somebody that's interested in that number one overall pick, and I think the Cardinals will be open to it. Now, how far down will they go? That just depends on what the offer is. But I think ideally they'd like to move down and get some extra picks and still be able to get a top-level player, but that means you're not going to move down that far.
Do you think that they've gotten legitimate, good offers for Josh Rosen?
No, I do not. I heard one yesterday, and it hasn't been validated, but that the Giants have offered him a couple picks for him. I don't know if that's true, and I haven't checked on it yet, but I don't think they're getting what they thought they would get for Josh Rosen in terms of offers, and that's why I think they're kind of reevaluating it. Look, they would probably take, if they were going to do it, and I don't think they are going to do it, but if they were going to do it, I think they would take a high 2 for him. I don't know if they're going to get that for him. You
got Kyler Murray slipping to the Dolphins at 13. That's pretty good fall.
Dan, that's what they should do mock draft.
Oh, okay.
And I changed that up a little bit. Yeah, believe me, I don't think he's going to fall to 13. But again, though, you have to ask this question. Let's just say, for the argument's sake here, that the Cardinals do pass on him, and the Raiders don't take him at 4. Where does he go? I mean, because I don't think Gettleman at 6 would take Kyler Murray. I don't think that's his style of quarterback. I don't think John Elway at 10 would take him because I think he's looking more at the prototypical stand-in-the-pocket type of quarterback, maybe Drew Lock. So 11 to the Bengals, I don't know if Mike Brown will give up on Andy Dalton. So where does he go? So there's always that possibility that if he doesn't go 1, as strange as that sounds, if he does not go 1, he could take a little bit of a tumble, and maybe Miami sits there and he falls into their laps.
Louis Riddick of ESPN was on a half hour ago, and he loves Dwayne Haskins. Like, it's not even close. He's like, this guy's got it all, and it almost feels like somebody is going to make a huge mistake passing up on Dwayne Haskins. What do you think of his first-round grade?
For once in my life, I think I agree with Louis. I love Louis, but no, I agree. I think Haskins is the guy in this draft, and I think he should be the first quarterback taken. He stands in the pocket. He can make all the throws. He's a smart kid. He's a prototypical, quarterback. And granted, both Murray and Haskins, the one thing you got to look at, and the one thing that the evaluators keep coming back to is they were only one-year starters.
Yeah.
And that's a concern. Where's the big talent evaluation games to really evaluate him? I don't think there's a lot there. So there's some concern there, but I agree with Lewis. If I had to pick one of the quarterbacks in this draft, it would be definitely Dwayne Haskins.
Who changes the draft? What team?
Well, I think Arizona could change the draft if they don't take Murray. But which team changes the draft? Probably. I want to see what Oakland does. Yeah. I'm real curious there. You got a big push from people in the building to get more defensive help. But you know how John is. He gets enamored with those offensive players. So that'll be an interesting dynamic. By the way, I've heard that Mayock actually loves Haskins a lot. So that would be interesting if they do have Murray sitting there, what they do if they do go quarterback. And I don't think they are going quarterback, by the way. I think they're going to draft defense.
How do you know when somebody's telling you the truth, Pete?
You have to believe the person. Because, look, we've all been lied to in this profession a lot. And this is the lying season, so you got to try and trust the person. And there are a lot of guys that even you believe over the years. And I've been doing this for 30 years. You build up these trusts, and at this time of the year, they might not be totally, honest with you. I don't care if you're not telling me, the grade A truth, but don't lie to me. That's the concern. If don't tell me exactly if you don't want to, but don't also lie to me and lead me in a different direction.
I don't know if the NFL has changed that teams are looking for an Aaron Donald. Of course, hard to find something like that. But I love Quinnen Williams. Like I just think what he does to disrupt the pocket from inside up the middle is of such value. Quarterbacks always say, I can chip you on the edge. It's when you're coming up the middle, I see you, you see me, and, Aaron Donald was so disruptive last year. That's why I looked at Quinnen Williams, and I just thought, I don't think it's a no-brainer to me. I think he's the best player in the draft. Your thoughts on Williams and, where he's going and what kind of player you think he'll be?
I love him. I mean, he's a power player, quickness, and remember, he moved inside from end, so there's a lot of athletic ability there as well. I think Arizona, failed miserably on Robert Nkemdiche. I mean, they took him in the first round. They thought he'd be a dominant inside player, and it hasn't worked out that way. So, wouldn't shock me if Quinnen Williams was the first overall pick either, because he is such a good football player who can also play end. And so for me, I think he and Ed Oliver, both are going to be really good inside players on the next level.
Pete, if it comes through, you're going to look like a genius on Thursday night.
If it doesn't come through, I'm going to look like an idiot, but I look like that. Your guys, all your little guys over there, they can tell you how stupid I look sometimes. Hey, guys?
Guys, Pete wants to know if you think he's looked like an idiot before.
No comment. Little guys? Pete Prisco's calling us little guy. Pete.
Wow.
All your guys. Come on, Pearl. All your guys.
Thank you, Pete. Good luck on Thursday night.
All right, guys.
They stirred it up a little bit there.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.